So what exactly is Loctite Threadlocker, and where would you use that around your home? How can it help you with your repairs and maintenance around the house? First off, let's start with the name. Loctite, which is really just what I call it, is actually the brand name. And this brand came up with an anaerobic adhesive back in the 1950s that was called Threadlocker. Nowadays, multiple different brands make Threadlocker, but because Loctite was the original and still the most well-known, it's kind of synonymous with each other. So I always just call it Loctite, even though I actually mean Threadlocker. Now, I did a survey, and about 4 out of 10 of you either haven't heard of Loctite or haven't used it around the house. So I want to introduce you to 3 different areas that I use it repeatedly around my house, and more importantly in my rental properties, to help reduce maintenance over time. Now, Loctite does come in multiple different, let's say, flavors. The most common would be a blue, which you see here, and a red. If you don't want to dive too deep, just think of red as permanent and more for an industrial or a more demanding application where you want it to be permanent. So I actually do not use much red around the house. I use blue, which is actually a removable thread locker or Loctite, and it is more applicable to maintenance around the house. So if you're gonna get one, I would get blue, and you can see the links down in the description to see the exact product that I use. Now there's 3 main jobs that I use Loctite on around the house, and specifically around my rental properties, to help reduce the maintenance calls that I'll get and help reduce the items that we have to do during turnover between 2 tenants. First up, I like to use Loctite in the set screw of towel racks, toilet paper holders, or any other hardware in the bathroom where you have that small set screw that is either loosened or tightened by a flathead screwdriver or an Allen wrench, and notoriously comes loose over time. So as people push and pull and hang towels on those racks, it can loosen up that set screw, and then eventually it just falls off the bracket that's on the wall. So just with 1 small drop of blue Loctite, you can tighten that up, and then that's gonna stay secure, and you're not gonna have your bathroom hardware falling off, again, especially in your rental properties. Number 2 is your door knobs or door handles. And specifically, I found this most useful on my exterior doors opposed to interior doors. And that might just be because they're getting a little bit more use, a little bit more force as they are opened and closed over time. I like to put, again, 1 small drop of blue Loctite on the 2 screws on your doorknob. And then for good measure, you could even put those on your deadbolt, but specifically the doorknob is what has loosened up over time. And before I did this, I had 2 calls where the tenant actually allowed the doorknob to get so loose that the doorknob fell off before they called me. So you can't really expect your tenants to do small maintenance like this, so it's nice to use Loctite as it will not loosen up, and then you won't have any issues. And then the 3rd area that I use it for is for cabinet hardware. Now, depending on the type of cabinet hardware you have, whether you have handles or knobs, and some is better than others, sometimes it just loosens up, and it's like you can't get the stuff to stay, even if you really tighten down that screw when you're mounting all of your hardware. So again, 1 small drop, you don't have to go crazy here, it's gonna hold that screw in. And on cabinet hardware, I actually place the drop on the threaded knob or handle side opposed to the screw side, so when I pass the screw through the wood of the door, I'm not wiping off that Loctite. It stays on the threads, and I feel that makes a little bit better bond because you're not getting a little sawdust or debris in as you're pushing the screw through the door. So just those 3 simple applications on my rental properties in my home absolutely reduces the amount of maintenance and calls that I get and the things I need to do between tenants. But let me know what you guys use it for. 1, do you use a thread locker, or as I call it, Loctite? And what is that application? What did I miss? Where do you find it comes in really handy around your house? As I always appreciate you guys' feedback and get a ton of value from that. Now, if you're watching this and want to know what that list is, I will pin a comment at the top of the comments where I'll bring together any common other applications that people bring up, and I'll start forming that list outside of the 3 that I mentioned. And before you take off, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, as we have multiple videos coming out per week to help you with repairs and improvements around the house, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.